Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Kindness Advantage. I am your host, Cindy Rowe, and I have somebody here with me. And I'm really excited because, I don't have guests all that often. And when I do, it's always a good surprise for you. So I am excited to introduce to you my friend, Mandi. How are you?
Hello. Hi, Cindy, and hello to everybody who's listening.
Thank you so much for joining me. And I'll give the listeners a little preview of how I know you. So, we are both quote unquote speaker sisters, and we went through a similar program, and we've connected through all the socials and just kind of cheer each other on. And I thought she would be a perfect person to have here and sharing some of her wisdom with my wonderful audience. So, Mandi, why don't you share a little bit about yourself so they can get to know you?
Sure. So, yes, my name is Mandi, and I am a speaker. I go out and speak to a couple different groups to help them live safer with more peace. So, a lot of times, colleges, high schools, HR groups, and even social workers. So, I love what I do, and I love being able to help.
So I just wrote down live safer with more peace.
Yes.
That is like that's a big mic drop. Love
Cool.
that.
Yeah.
And funny, that's the group that we're part of is mic drop. So,
Yes.
but that was good. So, tell people what that encompasses. Like, what does that include? Like, what do you mean by that?
So I should back that up by just sharing that I do have a very, very gnarly life story that happened to me about 20 plus years ago. And I did not live safe and I did not have peace. So, because of that, I then, take what I've learned over the decades and then share that with my audience. And I am always happy to share my story if you want me to, or they can hear it in my own podcast.
Yeah, I mean, what can you give just a Cliff
A
Notes
short
version of
story,
it?
sure. Yeah. Yeah. So back in the early 2000s, I was married to somebody who was abusive, and I had a toddler. And I decided, that I was not going to raise him like that. And so we left. And I would love to say everything was great after that, but it was not. In fact, about a year after we left, I found a note from the FBI in my door jamb,
Oh,
and it said to call them. And I called them, and I heard the agent on the other line, tell me, ma'am, I'm calling you about, I hope he's your soon to be ex husband, or you're going to be in a lot of trouble. We've been searching for him for the past 6 to 9 months for multiple bank robberies. And I was like, I was completely silent because I was
ah,
so like stunned. I did not see that coming whatsoever. And he could tell that. So he was kind enough to come over the next day and like talk with me and show me the pictures from the banks. And I could clearly see that was him. And the agent didn't need my corroboration. But that was the beginning of the story. Actually, it goes on and on and on. Our story was in the nightly news like twice. And he did go away to prison, but he came out and then was a missing person, and then, ended up doing the same thing in a different state. So the FBI was looking for him again. So all this time, I'm trying to raise my kid, you know, and dealing with, the US Marshal's office calling me, and out of the blue, a detective calling me, hey, like, do you think he could be in this state, maybe doing this, And so what does that do? That brings up all the nastiness, right? Where
right.
I'm trying to like heal and like, you know, raise my kid and break that cycle of abuse and, have us become healthy individuals and all of that. So it was super gnarly. So I share that in my own podcast in episodes 1 and 2. The detective was so kind to come on and share the story from his perspective
Oh, that's cool.
in episode 2. So yeah.
I mean, but you're like living on the edge of your seat for a long time. right? Like,
Seriously, that made me, so I ended up with complex PTSD, and I was so stuck for so long in that hypervigilance, and I even still struggle with it sometimes, but it's much easier to handle now than it was back then. But yeah, because of all of that, like prolonged, for so long, and just having things pop up out of the blue, it's like my body had to like be ready for like what was coming next.
yeah, that's like severe, fight or flight. Like you're
Exactly.
always like
Yeah.
in ready mode like that. I mean, that's a huge challenge. And what tools did you find that could really help you, or like what did you do to help you get through to find that more calm
Yeah.
nature?
Well, there was a lot of things
Right
I
now,
did.
I see it. Like you don't look like you've been through all that trauma. Like I see
Mhm.
that. So you've done a lot of work, and
I
I'm
have.
interested in hearing what that path looked like, if you don't mind
Mhm.
sharing a little bit of it.
Yeah, happy to share. Yeah, I did the typical talk therapy type of thing for years. And I, one of the things that was super helpful, I feel like I got the most out of that, was she had me create like a self-care menu. So as I was raising this little toddler and dealing with all of this chaos, right? At the end of the night, I would check in. It was a list on my phone, okay, did I do any of these things for myself today? And if I didn't, I would try to do one of them if it was feasible. And that was so helpful. And so taking that and actually taking that a step further and then moving for me. So like just sitting there and like talking was like cool, but like I'm hyper vigilant, right? So I need to like move. I need to move and like get that energy out. And so for me, I spent a lot of time outside, exercising, walking my son around, like whatever I could do. We were living kind of near the beach at that point, so I spent a lot of time out there. And then really learning also about having compassion on myself,
Oh yeah.
because all that time, I'm worried about my son and I'm doing all these things, right? But who was always last? Me,
Mhm.
right? And so, like I was saying, that checklist at night, and then just learning how much I have a mentor who says self compassion is medicine. And
Mhm.
I 100% agree with that because I've seen that in my own life. And sometimes, I am just going to my day to day, and then I start to realize, like, oh my God, like something will come up, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like that was really hard. Like you forget about what you've come through, right? And when
Mhm.
you stop for a minute and realize, like, holy crap, like, Mandy, you went through such a hard time. Like, have some grace with yourself
Yeah.
and, you know, um, just be there for yourself and realize that, and take that minute to pause is still really helpful.
Yeah, I mean, you have just named so many things that I share
Wow.
on the stages
Yeah,
that, we're not taught about self-compassion, self-kindness when we're growing up.
no.
Like, it's something I feel like we stumble upon when something bad happens.
Exactly. Right.
So, yes, I'm out there sharing, like, you've got to fill up your own cup.
Yeah.
And we've all heard it, right? Like, you can't
Yes.
pour from an empty cup, but it's so true. If you fill up your cup, then it overflows to everyone that you love in your life. Like they get the best parts. Like
Yeah.
you get the best, and then you can flow over and give them your best. But if you're empty,
Yeah.
just think about how short you are, or how grumpy you
Exactly.
can be, or like the littlest thing can tick you off and take you
Right.
spiraling. I still have
Exactly.
days. Like I'm not perfect, but it also is very important that like what do I need right now? And then you said give yourself grace. And um I think that's another thing women we have a hard time with, is because, we're supposed to do all the things, and we're supposed to be good at all the things, and then
Right.
we're supposed to look good doing all the
Right.
things. Like, it's like, I can't do it all. I learned grace through my car accident. I had a terrible car accident, and I feel like I'm a, high achiever, high performer, like
Yes.
just a go-getter.
Right.
And I couldn't. I could not. I was
Yeah.
dealing with a brain injury, and um, learning the self-kindness. That's kind of when I learned about self-kindness, and giving myself grace, that if I needed to rest, that
Mm-hmm.
was okay.
Mm-hmm.
It was the best thing for me. I needed to be okay taking a mid-afternoon nap. And even before we got on here, I'm like, well, it's after 3. And it's like my brain is it
Right.
still is. And I can joke about it now, but back then it was like, oh, I'm terrible because I can't function well after 3 p.m. without a nap. Like, I've obviously have recovered a little bit more from
Yeah.
that.
Sure.
There was a little brain gap there, but that grace period, like giving yourself grace, is so important. And the other thing that I want to recap here is getting out in nature, because I talk about that. Nature is so healing as well. No matter if you're just sitting outside, or you do go for a walk, or you put your feet in the grass, like, it's so healing. Listening to the birds, listening to
Yes.
the wind. I mean, when you
Yeah.
goes through the trees, that gives you, I feel like there's a statistic, and because it is later in the day, I'm not going to remember it, and it's a number. So those two things go against me.
That's like me. Don't worry.
Being in nature for like 10 minutes
Yeah.
lowers your cortisol levels.
Oh,
That's about all
100%.
I can remember. So it
Yeah.
lowers your stress just being outside for a short period of time.
Yeah.
And think about, like, when you are um, having those moments where maybe it's coming back, or even something happens in normal every day, like just stepping outside for 10 minutes can
Yes.
really reset your whole body, and
100%.
help you. And so I loved that you mentioned those, because I sprinkle those in through my keynotes, and it's just not talked about enough.
Yeah.
And especially for women. And I don't mean to exclude the men, because I know I have men listeners, and
Mhm.
but I think we just carry a different burden, and you were carrying such a burden because you were raising your child all by yourself, and trying to raise him as a human that didn't have that baggage. And that is a whole nother level, because even as a mom, right, we put our kids first,
Yeah.
and then you're on top of it trying to make sure that he is being raised with more, I don't want to say more compassion, but more love, but like,
Yes.
in a sense where those patterns won't be repeated.
Exactly. And I'm so happy to say he just got married this past weekend.
Oh,
And I can't even begin to tell you, like, oh my gosh, if I would have known back then and been able to like see into the future and see that he was going to be okay, and hear people speak about him so lovingly, and that he is gentle and humble, is just like, oh my gosh, just, that was like the best day ever.
what a gift for you, though, like the validation that you did exactly what you needed to do, and you succeed like that. Aw, I just got goosebumps. Like, that's awesome. It's really good to hear. And so there is happiness through this story, which is
Yes,
great. And
very
like
much.
how you've overcome, and now you're using, your experience to help others.
Mhm.
And so I kind of want to hear a little bit about that, because you said that you enjoy speaking
Mhm.
to colleges, and without giving everything away, because of course we want them to hire you, but like, what's something that you share with
Mhm.
that audience that you might be able to share with my audience?
Of course. Well, I so I also became a victim advocate to learn all of the, trauma-informed language and all of that. And I love sharing that, especially with the students, just to help them, because I don't want anybody to end up like I did. And so for them to understand that we are so conditioned to people please and to basically self-abandon, right? So I feel like, we have those who offend and those who become victims. And I feel like those who offend, they become boundary busters, right? They don't listen to other people's boundaries. Maybe they grew up, they didn't learn that. They were entitled, that sort of thing. And then you pair that with somebody who was conditioned to be a people pleaser, and it's hard for them to say no, right? And so I feel like that's really at the heart of it, more than teaching, the normal things, which, gee, I wish we had back when I was in college. That would have really helped me out. But yeah, just really getting to the heart of things. And what I'd like to do is talk about even deeper than that, which is our intuition. Because a lot of times we don't listen to that because we are trained to go with the flow, don't make any waves, right?
Yeah.
And so I love talking about that. I even have a little quiz on my website where people can go like, see how you're doing, like how much do you really listen to your intuition, right? And then it runs into like a little challenge, and I'll share a little bit of that. So the first step really in that is pausing enough to notice what we're feeling, or like what are we noticing here, And I wonder, Cindy, if you'll answer this the same way that I do. And that's when we think about a time when we don't have to multitask anything and we're going about our day to day, when is the time that we get the best ideas, right? We're pausing because we can't multitask. We're doing one thing. When do the best ideas come to us? I wonder if it's the same for you as me.
Mine's early, like probably 8 to 10 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, it's like when I'm in the shower, because I can't multitask, right?
That's so funny that you say that, because I'm like, I will actually text my kid. I'm like, oh my God, I had the best idea while I was washing my hair.
Yeah, see, I know, right? And so all of us have to take a shower at some point, right? So that's like a natural pause for us. And to maybe even use that time, like what is like nagging me? What keeps running through my brain that I know I really should like pay attention to, and give that space to it. And so that is the first step. And the second one is to just listen to that, right? Like sometimes we catch that, but we're like, I don't really want to, let's just keep going.
Yeah.
But to notice, oh, okay, like I'm bothered by what I saw the other day because it made me wonder if, X, Y, Z. And then the third step is processing that. And a lot of people process different ways. Are you a journaler or like a talk it out person?
I like to journal.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm like more of a talker, and so a lot of times I will talk with my good friend and she doesn't even have to say a thing. But by the time I'm done talking, I'm like, oh, I know. Yeah. And then there's, some other steps about making that choice and then making an action that feels doable. But yeah, I just feel like that's really at the heart of so much, like not even just living safer with more peace, but leading ourselves better.
Yeah.
Right.
And I like the fact that you focus on the intuition, because I think you're calling me out on that one. Because recently, I've had like these thoughts, but I haven't really had the time, or made the time to sit with them and find the meaning behind those thoughts. And I feel like if I'm being honest, I probably need to do that. I need to really make time for that.
Yeah. And I know sometimes it might not feel safe, or it doesn't feel good to deal with that. So that's when we can ask for help from a safe person, or just take a baby step, whatever feels doable.
One of the things that came to mind when you were talking about that is I feel something about somebody, but I can't describe it. There's something that I just don't like about the demeanor.
Yeah.
And I even said it to a friend. I'm like, I can't even describe it. And I don't even know if it's good or bad, but I feel like I need to sit with that a little bit longer and really feel like what's the meaning behind that, or dig a little bit deeper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But without going into too much detail, but that happened within the last week. I was like, oh, there's something.
Right. And it's worth paying attention to. And our intuition is a survival mechanism. It's our brain collecting all of these subconscious clues until there's enough, and there's an alarm bell, hello, hello. And it doesn't necessarily have to be something dangerous. It could just be, something else that we could be paying attention to, or, whatever.
Yeah, I like that. It's a little alarm to maybe take a little bit longer notice on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Wow, this has been amazing. Cool. I don't know. I feel like, you've even talked about taking this into not just the colleges and schools, but with the social workers and the HR. What kind of differences how are you approaching those audiences differently?
Sure.
Or are they very similar? Because I do have a lot of those folks too. So
yeah. Well, first of all, the social work aspect ties in with what we were just talking about with, the self-care and the self-compassion. Mm-hmm. And I know that a lot of times somebody who's trying to heal, right, we grab all these affirmations, and we tell ourselves I am safe, I am at peace. And your brain goes, right? And I feel like that makes more stress, and it makes us fight that. Our brain goes, no. And so I've noticed that I tweak the affirmations a little bit. And instead of I am safe, I am starting to feel safe. And then my brain goes, okay, and it starts to look for the clues, which then actually does make me safer. It's like it works all together,
Right, yeah.
So I love talking about things like that. And then with HR too, I'm pretty open sharing about having complex PTSD and what that actually looked like. Mm-hmm. So in the beginning, when I was in the abusive situation, I was working in corporate, and they had no idea this was happening at home. Sure. Right? So how do they help somebody like that? How do they help people feel safer, right? So they can disclose that type of thing. So I talk about that, and just those invisible disabilities. I also talk about that, elsewhere, on campuses, because there's a lot of people dealing with things you just don't know about, right? And to help them feel seen and comfortable.
Right.
I have a little freebie on my website that talks about the things that I do to get out of that hypervigilance, to feel calmer and safer. HR, they could even have some of these things, in the workplace, even things like a soft blanket or a lamp instead of the overhead stuff, right. Just even simple little things like that. The list is on awareandprepared.life/calm. And the quiz is on there. It's just /quiz.
We'll definitely put those in the show notes for those of you listening, so you don't have to rush to them down. But we'll put those in the show notes. Those are great resources, and I appreciate you sharing that with the audience. So my brain injury although I was working for myself,
Mhm.
but it wasn't an open brain injury. So I had that invisible injury, and
Yeah.
even my family, like, they're like, "You're fine." I'm like, "I am not fine. Like, I can't remember words. Like, I can't even walk straight. Like, there's a lot going on that, you can't see."
Yes.
And then when I was going through the process of suing the lady that caused the accident,
Mhm.
the lawyers were like, "You look fine."
I know, right? Oh my
And
gosh.
I
Yeah.
do. Should I just wrap my
I know. Do I need to wear a bandage so you
Yeah,
can
like, seriously, to, like, make this look like okay. So, I love that aspect because there are so many things that people are dealing with that are not visible, but they actually have an impact on how they show up at work, how they
Yes.
perform, how they feel safe, and having those tools for the workplace, I think, is really key. And I think more workplaces are open to
Yeah, I love that.
helping and assisting with those things,
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
from back in the day, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, "Shove it, you're fine." Like, we don't
Yeah, exactly.
but it's truly important, and, what I talk about too is the psychological safety aspect of it. People want to have that trust where they can share openly what's happening, and the only way you can do that is if you've built that trust with them, you know, and I share how kindness builds that trust, but,
Yes.
um, yeah, it all connects to, performing and the bottom line, and you
It
having people,
does.
come to work and be excited to be at work, and, how they show up and how they help others and how they help your customers. It's like it's this big old circle.
It is. You're
Crazy. It's crazy how it all intertwines, right? But
right. It is.
I really appreciate you sharing part of your story and a little
Mhm.
bit of what you share with your audiences, and because we're getting close to the time. What's one last thing that you'd like to say to kind of sum this all up and put a little bow on top of it?
Gosh, I would probably say that, we only get one life, and how we choose to create that life and that story is really up to us. Granted, we all have different capacity to do that,
Mhm.
but there's ways that we can help ourselves. There's ways that we can get help from safe people, to get the support that we need. And just having that self compassion and that grace on ourselves to help ourselves through this life, because life is meant to be happy. It's meant to be joyful. Yes, we're not happy all the time, but I mean, a through, line there is making it good for ourselves, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I mean, the path to where I'm at today has been a shitty path, and
Yeah.
I'm still here, and I smile, and I find
Yeah.
moments of joy and happiness, and but I've taken charge, right? And I believe you took charge,
Yeah.
and we, even through all those battle scars, we're using our story to help others see that
Mhm.
they're not alone.
Yeah.
They can do it too, and they're worth doing it. They're worth that, and it's so incredible. So thank you. I appreciate it. It was a pleasure having you here and sharing. And folks, we're gonna put all the stuff on how you can connect with Mandi, her website, all those freebies she mentioned, her podcast, and her socials. So if you loved her story, if you loved what she shared today, you can definitely get in contact with her. I will make it easy on you. But Mandi, thank you for spending some time with me today. It was wonderful. I appreciate
Thank
you.
you so much. It was a joy. Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I always appreciate when you can share, when you can hit that subscribe button and, give me a 5-star review, because that's the kindest thing you can do, right? I appreciate it. And I'll end it like I end it always. Together, we create waves of change through kindness. Thank you for tuning in.